Breach is a 2007 political FBI espionage thriller, and this is based on a true story of one of the biggest breaches in U.S. Bureau history, where they took down this spy whose real life name was Robert Hansen, and Chris Cooper plays Robert Hansen in an incredible role. This is also directed by Billy Ray. Never heard of this director, but he delivered one hell of a hidden gem in this film. This film surprised the hell out of me. This is my second viewing of it. I was given this for free, actually, from a buddy of mine. And the first time I watched it, it's one of those rare films that went straight to a 5 star. This film is just so well directed and so surprising to me because I'm not usually the biggest espionage, Secret Service, Secret Bureau political thriller kind of fan. It's not every day that a film of that caliber would just blow me away to the extent that this one did, but I really had a blast with this film. So this is the second time I watched it. We have Ryan Philippe in here as well, also starring, and Laura Linney plays in here. I remember Laura Linney from the film Squid and the Whale. She's also been in a ton of things. She's been in The Dinner. She has a whole list of things that I've either heard of or seen before. So she's pretty popular herself. But Chris Cooper steals the show as the main spy and the guy that is being seeked after and sought after and spied upon by Ryan Philippe's character, who's this young guy. He's in the FBI. He's basically used to terrorist cases and more so crimes of war and things relating to terrorism and war and stuff like that, and that's usually the cases that he's given. But in this case, he's told to basically watch this guy and work in the same office in basically a cubicle next to him and just report back to Laura Linney's character on literally everything that Robert Hansen does. Played by Chris Cooper. And the movie just plays out that way, and you really get these two characters on each other because Robert Hansen, played by Chris Cooper, is also very much geniusly smart himself and is always watching his own back. He's also a really straight-aced character. He's very religious, very conservative, doesn't have he never swears, he never tells dirty jokes, he's just so straight A and straight arrowed that it's really hard to get around the fact that he would have anything on him. He goes to church every single Sunday, he prays the rosary every single day, he's married to a woman named Bonnie, who we also get to know, and he's a big family man. His wife loves him, his grandchildren love him. I think it's his grandchildren in the movie that he has like 3 or 4 of them. They all love him, and doesn't seem to be anything wrong with this guy. So even Eric, the guy who's spying on him, played by Ryan Philippe, is confused on why he was even put in this situation and wondering why in the first place because it's such a new novel thing for him because he doesn't really work in this kind of case in the first place. So it gets really tense throughout the film. There's times where Eric will have to keep Robert Hansen out of his office for periods of time because the FBI basically wants to investigate this guy's car and office and computer files and everything, and obviously he can't be in the office, so Eric kind of has to play sort of like an escort to this guy, and he really starts to form also a deep connection. It does remind me a little bit in aspects between Eric spying on Robert Hansen of the movie The East, which starred, I guess now Elliot Page, but back then it was Ellen Page, and she plays in The East, where it's about a woman who's investigating this basically this cult who lives in the forest, lives off grid kind of thing, and this woman is supposed to be spying on this cult and reporting back to the woman she works for. Kind of works around the idea is the same in this movie where this guy is supposed to be spying on this guy but is really connecting with this guy and not seeing any bad bone in this guy's body whatsoever. Robert Hansen, I mean. And there's really great moments between the two. Robert Hansen is a guy who really loves to test people, and he can be almost an intimidating, very terrifying presence when he does it. And there's this moment in his home where he's talking about how he wants to be like recognized and known. He's about to turn 57. He's retiring fairly soon. He wants to retire that year, and he mentions like I could work 100 years more and I'd still just be an afterthought. But all that matters really at the end of the day is the fact that I know what I've done, and he has this. It's not necessarily a goal, but he wants to feel important, like we all do, and he wants to feel like he matters. And even later on in the film, when Eric actually starts to him like test Robert and get on Robert's underneath his skin and really like put him on edge, like bringing up the fact that like you're not that special, like he's trying to give Robert Hansen every reason not to believe that he's being spied on and to trust Eric, even though through the whole thing Eric is spying on him left, right, and center, and Eric shouldn't be trusted. He's basically, he has to, for his duty and job, spend the entire movie building Robert Hansen's trust. And obviously, Robert Hansen has experience in being a spy himself, so obviously not not to the caliber of how smart he thinks he is anyway. It's not a movie with too many twists and turns. This film pretty much plays out to its inevitable conclusion. So, whether that's a spoiler or not, it's kind of just how the film plays out. There's no twists in it or anything like that. The film starts with a guy given a mission, and then it leads to the end of that mission to its inevitable conclusion, as I said. And this is a spoiler review anyway, so I can say whatever. And there's really great character moments. This Robert Hansen is a guy that you can't help but like. At least I couldn't. Like he's a hard ass. He can get on your nerves a lot, and there's moments where he'll say like inappropriate things or things that shouldn't be said in the moment, like outspoken things, kind of thing. And he doesn't hold his mouth sometimes, and he can be that guy quite often. But when it comes to his moral decency, other than obviously breaking a shit ton of crimes in the American bureaus, he's a man of morals and he's a man of dignity. And for better or for worse, he's a very passionate, patriotic man, just like Eric is. And Eric is also married to a woman named Jolene, I think, or Joanne. I forget her name now. Joanna, I think it is. It's Joanna. And she's not American. I think she's religious herself, but she belongs to a different religion, and he's Roman Catholic, and so is Robert Hansen. So they have similarities in their beliefs and their like they understand, they come from the same faith kind of thing, so they bond that way as well. But Eric and Joanna are separate in their faith, and that causes a lot of friction, as well as this case that Eric is on, because this case is top secret and Eric has to basically keep this away from Joanna. And this makes Joanna feel that Eric is not trusting in her. Where's the trust? Where's the relationship? How can Eric go along this case and not tell Joanna about it, his own wife? But I mean, it is what it is. Like, if when it comes to anybody, if you can't handle the person's career, the person's job, either you're gonna have to find some way to handle it, or there's nothing else that can be done. It is a top secret thing. If somebody works in some kind of career or industry that whatever you're doing has to be top secret for the sake of the country, for fuck's sakes. It is what it is. So anybody who's like, oh, you can't trust me or whatnot, it's not a reasonable argument. So on this situation, I have to say that I'm on Eric's side. Yes, I can feel Joanna's hurt, but it's kind of what you signed up for. And that's the way I look at situations like this. Like, you have to know what you're signing up for when you go into any situation. You have to know who you're marrying, who you're dedicating the rest of your life to, who you're bringing into your own life for, the long run kind of thing. So, I don't think it's fair, the arguments that she brings up often, but I also don't think it's too fair how hard he is on her, and he is very unsympathetic to his wife a lot in this film, because he's young and because he's new in this industry, and he really wants to do a great job bringing this Robert Hansen guy down. And he's a smart dude, man. Like Eric. In this film, Eric O'Neill. Is it Eric O'Neill? Yes, Eric O'Neill. I keep getting confused with the actor's name, Ryan Philippe, and then Eric O'Neill he plays. And Eric O'Neill is a very smart dude, and I like his relationship that he has with Laura Linney's character, whom I forget her name as well, unless it says back here. Yeah, unfortunately, I forget Lauren Linney's character's name, but they have a unique thing too, because he's always asking her like if she's happy in the career that she's chosen, because she's unmarried. She jokes at one point in the movie that she doesn't even own a cat, and he asks her like, are you happy with where you are in life, and are you happy with the choice of being here? Do you like your job? And she's like, ask me when we catch this bastard or something. So I liked that. I also liked one of Robert Hansen's character's lines or opinions, you could say, in the elevator. In one scene that made me laugh, he's like, he's talking about like women wearing pants because he's super conservative and he thinks that men wear pants, women wear skirts, and he's just like, yeah. The last thing the world needs is more Hillary Clintons or something like that, and I'm just like, yeah, that's can't not agree with you on that one, sir. But anyways, it's really tense. It's a good spy on spy story, and it's just so well done. What I love about this film is that it's so well directed, and the performances are great. And I was looking through some reviews on Letterboxd, and I heard one reviewer say, who gave this a 4 stars. He's like, if this was like a louder movie, if it got more marketing and attention to it, some of these actors would have certainly gotten awards for this film. And he mentioned that this is a much more patriotic film than the much more popular American Sniper. Couldn't agree more. I mean, I watched parts of American Sniper, and I actually it didn't resonate with me at all, pretty much. But this one is so dense and tight, and like, it's a perfect thriller. It's a perfect like FBI American political thriller. And it's not too big a scale, like it's not deep. In parts it is, of course, but more so the characters, like the character development in both Eric and Robert are so dense, and you like them both, even though one is a criminal, a heavy one too, because when they start to report everything, all the damage that he's caused in the United States, and how many people he's had killed that worked for the American Bureau and the American Embassy, because of Russian spies and his ties with the Russian spies and him working for the Russian spies, how much damage he did to the United States is impeccable, and he is deserving of life in prison. But you get to the end of this film and you see his arrest, and you're just heartbroken for it, because even though he did many, many, many crimes, which he needs to pay the price for, you still can't help but like this guy, in a sense, anyway. Maybe some people are going to watch this film and hate the dude and everything about him, but he definitely swings one way when it comes to politics, so that's kind of what I mean. But other than, like, morally, he knows his moral codes. And another thing that I was just reminded of, closer to the climax, when both Eric and Robert are in a park, Eric basically unleashes on him, and basically says, like, this is where he's telling him that he's not that important necessarily, and he says, you know every time I had a conversation with my wife, I was trying to come up with reasons why you're the way you are. Maybe because it's your childhood, your father was hard, and you whatever yada yada. He lists a bunch of things, and he's like, you know what? I realize it's all bullshit. You are the way you are, and the why doesn't even matter at all. And then this plays at the end of the movie when with Robert Hansen's arrest. He's arrested, and he starts to. One of the agents who arrested him says to him, basically, is asking for a reason why he did what he did and committed the crimes that he committed. And he basically says, you know, he starts to go along with that idea. He's like, you know, maybe I just wanted to test the American embassy and how tight their security was or lack thereof. Or maybe, you know, yada, yada, yada. But, you know, I did what I did. At the end of the day, I broke a huge law, and the why doesn't matter very much, does it? And then it's the fucking last shot of the film and the last line out of Chris Cooper's mouth when Eric is basically packing his things. He quits the FBI at the end of this film. Spoiler alert again. And he walks and he's gonna take the elevator down, and he puts his arm in the elevator, and the elevator opens, and there's fucking Robert Hansen with two FBI agents under their arrest kind of thing. And Chris Cooper, his eyes are red, just all around bloodshot red, and he's in the shadows, and the shadow and the lighting is perfect in the scene. And he just looks at Eric, and Eric is just scared shitless. I mean, I would be terrified in that scene. This guy, Robert Hansen, also owned, not in his possession at this point, obviously, but he owned like 15 guns, and he would carry them all over the place in his trunk because the FBI is gun friendly. He mentions this many times during the film, which they are, but his car was loaded with like rifles all over the place everywhere he went, like, you know, nonchalant. Anyway, he's standing there, and his eyes are bloodshot red, and he looks like the devil. And he just gives this meek, like, sorrowful, like, pray for me to Eric. And just the way he says it, that line, pray for me, and his eyes, oh, just beautiful cinema. And it just, like, wraps the whole film up in such a beautiful bow. I loved it. And it speaks so much volume for his character. And Eric, the way he was staring in fear too, like, what do I do listening to this? And he just says, I will, like, terrified. And then the doors close, and it goes to the Eric, like, what the characters are and where they are in real life. Robert Hansen being incarcerated, life in prison. It's mentioned that somebody who committed his crimes would get the death penalty, but he didn't seem to. At least it didn't say at the end of the film. So apparently, this guy Robert Hansen is just serving life in Colorado, and Eric quit the FBI right after and just basically took law and spent the rest of his days with his wife, studying and working in law, kind of thing. But yeah, phenomenal film. If you've seen it, I hope you've seen it with all this talk on it. I mean, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know. It's a 5 out of 5. It remains at a 5 out of 5. I just think this film is such a surprise to me and so well done for the type of film that it is. And because I don't usually love films like this, I usually find them kind of boring. The director knew exactly what he was doing on this one, and what a cast too. That just brought this true story right to life. So good. That's Breach from 2007. It also says 2006, but IMDb says 2007, so we'll go with that. Go find this if you haven't seen it. It's really, really worth your time. The dialogue and the performances, top notch. So that's Breach. Subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I'll be back with more soon, so stay tuned for those. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.